Great day, amazing humans. Yes, welcome to Empowering Bytes. This is where we keep it short and sweet. But who is the we? Well, the we is me, Nkechi, and
I'm Gaby with 1B. Pleased to be the co-host of these Empowering Bytes where we keep it short and sweet.
E to the A to the B to the Y. Mammone! That is Gaby 1B Mammone. Let's go, girl. Let the show begin. Great day, amazing humans. Yes, welcome to the next episode of Empowered in My Skin, the podcast. And for all you YouTubers, you know that I'm here with my G to the A to the B to the Y. Gaby 1B Mammone is here. Yay! Hey, Gaby.
Thank you.
First of all, I spent 3 days, 3 amazing last days with a Gaby 1B.
No way.
Yeah, but it was a male.
No way. That is crazy. What's his real name? Is it Gabriel or?
No, it was Gaby 1B.
Just Gaby. Does he actually say Gaby with 1B? Does he actually use that?
No. I'm just saying it's Gaby with 1B. It's like he doesn't. I told him that you are the one that uses Gaby 1B as your as your stage name type thing. Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. Wow. What are the odds?
Yeah, I know. Really nice guy. So I know only nice Gabbies.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So, we are, so one of the things that actually was inspired by the course is, and I knew that we had an episode today. And so I wanted to talk about the power of influence, right? Like I think people are more influential than they think that they are. And I thought this is such an great empowerment skill that I think we should all possess. And so I'll just start off. Like I never, there was a period of time where I didn't realize I had influence. Okay. Until one day I was invited to speak at the time, there was a leader I was supporting at my company and they invited me to speak at their leadership town hall. Okay. And so I went up and I must have done at the time, I probably did one of definitely something around the forward thinking mindset. But in large part, I would have was talking about love. It was actually, and it'd been in tech. That was sort of my, mission was to make love cool in the workplace,
Mm-hmm.
And I remember at the end, I had these slides, and at the end, the last slide was like this big giant heart. And it was a word cloud with everyone's name on that leader's team. So 600 something people were informed the heart. And I had redone the heart because the speaker that was following me, I found out was a senior vice president, and I knew they were going to be in the room, and I didn't want them to feel excluded, even though you couldn't really, the names are so slow. I added them to the heart. And so I was getting ready to close my talk and open it up for them. Yeah. And I just happened to kind of call out to them that their name was in here too. Like I made sure that their name was in here too. And I was a senior manager at the time, I believe. So anyway, all of that happened. And obviously the whole, I had them up doing affirmations, whatever Nkechi kind of does in crowds. I did that day. And I remember leaving the stage and I think I might've high-fived that next leader as they were coming up. And they got on the stage, they stood there and they said, "Oh, well, I had a whole bunch of slides prepared to share with you all today. But after that, I think I'm just going to speak from my heart."
Oh, that's awesome.
Right. And so in that moment, I don't know if I called it influence, but in that moment, I remember feeling that, because I had a big thing one time in my career about titles and stuff like that. And I remember feeling, wow, I had the ability to change the trajectory, I guess influence, more senior leaders than myself. And so, yeah, so influence really, I think I think it happens when you are real, when you're standing in your truth. And I think when you're actually not even trying to influence, I think, unconsciously you get people to do things or change their behaviors.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that story. I think that's amazing.
What are your thoughts on
Well,
influence?
I think that there's a big difference between authority and
Mm,
influence.
yes, yeah.
And I think that there's a line because sometimes people feel like they have to rather
Hmm.
than they want to.
Hmm.
And so I think there's a big difference there. And it comes down to inspiration, right? How do you
Yeah.
inspire people? How do you bring out the best of them? How do you really have them come from the place of heart and, heart centered, and instead of you being commanding, but the influence is commanding just because of how it's communicated.
Hmm.
So, I'm thinking of times where I've been influential, and it comes down to storytelling as well, like
Ooh, yes, that's a big
storytelling.
part of that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I remember there was a hospital that had reached out to me. So for any listeners that don't know, I have multiple sclerosis, and there was a hospital that had reached out to me, and they were looking to increase their funding for neurological illnesses. And they had said to me, can we write a story about you and send it out as a mail out to our database? I said, yes, of course. So, we got on the phone, we did a little interview. They sent me the mail out as a draft before it went out. And, being a speaker, we know there's essential things that need to be in a story to
Hmm.
catch
Hmm.
someone's attention and elicit emotion. And I asked them, I said, would you be open if I recommended some things to add in here? And it's really, there's 5 tips to storytelling that, we teach. And so and she was like, yes, of course. So I made some changes to that story, again, to elicit that emotion, to help influence. And that mail out went out, and she had shared with me that that was one of the highest fundraising campaigns that they've ever done in terms of the donors, and in how much was raised. And I felt really proud about that. But that was influencing.
Yeah.
It wasn't just telling them you need to donate.
Mm.
It was really influencing them and putting them in a situation of why. And
Hmm.
it's no different than marketing campaigns. You don't sell a jacket if that's your product. You sell someone wearing the jacket while
Yes,
they're
yes,
hiking, or
yes,
while
yes.
they're on a date, or
Which then appeals
yeah,
and pulls people in. Yeah.
yeah,
I think
right,
that I think that I think when you influence pulls, like I'm just gonna say
yes,
influence pulls. Yeah.
yes, yes, yes,
It
yes.
pulls. It
So
doesn't push, it pulls. It pulls
right,
people in. When I
right,
think about like people that in my life that so the gosh, well first I'm gonna start with some of the like just well-known influencers in the world that like deserve like Martin Luther King. You know,
yeah,
we are still talking about his I have a dream speech. Like
yep,
all these years later and how much that has been used. And, long after he's gone, Nelson Mandela is another
yes,
leader who has actually, through just the way he led, has had leaders write books based on his leadership, like what they observed of him as a leader. Because I don't think he ever wrote a book
yes,
about his leadership, right? So it's really about how he was observed or spoken about in terms of how he led the people. Oprah Winfrey, you think
yep,
about her, The Rock is a big influencer, right?
yes,
Like,
yes,
and so when I think about all of these, the commonality is like at some point or other, all of those incredible humans have invoked some type of emotion from within us.
yes, for sure.
I think influence there's an emotional connection that
Yep,
leaders need to make
yep.
and you can't put that on.
No, that comes from a credibility perspective, right? Trust, credibility. That's how it works. It's critical, isn't it?
Well, I think that comes first. And then I think when leaders are more in tune and authentic, I like the aspect of storytelling, which I think is really an important component here. But yeah, so for anyone out there who thinks they're not like can't influence. I would beg to differ. I actually think that um, when you are in roles where people do not directly report to you,
Mm,
and yet they're willing to go through the coals with you, like they're willing to like, lay it all out and go hard with you. You have
yeah.
influenced them in some shape or form, right? And
Yeah,
so
I agree.
and I think it's those people in those kind of roles that probably have more opportunities to influence for sure. And they get to see and they actually get to see their influence on much quicker, I guess, than maybe somebody who is leading people, because then there's also authority at play, so it's hard to say what's influence, what's authority. But yeah, so for all the ICs out there, individual contributors in this world or entrepreneurs in this world, where you're on this solo journey and there's people that are just like, how can I help you? How
Yeah,
can I lean in? How can I? All those how can I's are because you influence them in some way. You
yeah.
connected, they trust you. What is it? Credibility, you said?
Credibility,
Yeah.
authenticity. Yep.
And when you have influenced people, be okay to share it, right? It's
Yeah,
again, it's proof point that you're able to be someone of influence, right?
yeah. One thing that I can give credit here is, it's an honor to be on this Empowered in My Skin podcast. And we have a WhatsApp group for the listeners that are out there because we have a team, and Nkechi and I are just here recording, but there's a whole team that we work with that does the show notes and puts it together and does,
Mine's the guest. Forget there's no show notes without guests. Hey, if you want to be a guest on the podcast, shameless plug,
That's
just
right.
fill out the form, go to the website, fill out the form. We'd love to interview
That's
you.
right.
Okay, go on.
Plug it, of course, influence. But where I was going with this is your ability to lead is authentic.
Mhm.
And that's influential. It's like, great day, team, and then it's like, we want to be excited and we want to do the work because we are impacting lives. And so it's very, very authentic. And I love that. I love that about you.
Thank you. Thank you. And we are on episode, I want to say when we start 299.
Wow.
299. And what I can actually say to all the listeners and watchers now is that Gaby influenced the Empowering Bytes. We used to be called, what
Oh,
was it? Thriving Thursdays,
right.
right?
Yes.
And so it is because of you that, you influenced us, sort of bringing our minds together and obviously our optimistic spirits. We are insatiably optimistic and positive
Yeah.
and radically positive, and we've created these empowering bites. They're short and they're sweet, and I know that there's a following out there. There's people out there
Yeah.
that always comment how they love these episodes and how they make them feel. So kudos to
Ah,
you, influence in making.
thank you. Thank you for that shout out. I receive. Thank you. So to sum it up, influence, it's not about power. It's about connection. It's about trust. It's about authenticity. It's about storytelling. And, we need to lead. We need to lead by example.
And if you want a sort of a takeaway quote, like we need a quote of the episode. Influence is not, I think you kind of said at the beginning, it's not about convincing others to see what you see the world your way. It's about empowering them to see the world and the potential in themselves. Like that's really what I believe is the mark of influence.
I love that.
I love that. And I love you. And I love everyone that's listening. And go out there and be the most empowered human that you can. It's your girl. I'm Ink.
And I'm Gaby with 1B.
And this is where we say, we're out.
Bye bye.
Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode.